Hello, this is Christian Martin with the Kayak Bass Anglers of Central Maine, which I'll refer to here henceforth as the KBA. I hope everybody is excited for this season of kayak bass fishing as I am. I just want to go over a few basics with those of you who may want to participate in our tournaments this year. What is the KBA? This is the Kayak Bass Fishing Club, where like-minded anglers are encouraged to get together to fish from human-powered kayaks and canoes for small and largemouth bass in all Maine waters where it is legal and safe to do so. The first thing I want to talk about is safety. Safety is the number one consideration in this sport. The first part of being safe on the water has to do with using your head. Assess those conditions before you decide to put in. Avoid getting too close to spillways and dam outflows. The current may overpower your ability to paddle out of there, and it may actually suck you in. More than a few paddlers have drowned this way, so give it some serious thought before you get too close to those objects. Consider your experience level as well as current conditions on the water and the weather forecast. Is the water too high? Is the water too fast? Currently, the Penobscot River, way too high. Take a look at that weather forecast. Make sure that because weather conditions can change pretty quickly, so make sure you're ready for that. Make sure you're not too far from your takeout. If the weather turns, you need to be able to get back there safely. Is there a lot of boat traffic on the water? Consider the boats around you. Sometimes the boats aren't always watching out for the paddlers out there, so you got to be careful about those boats. Alright, are you equipped with the proper safety gear? So when you're participating in KBA sanctioned events, you have to have a whistle on your kayak or your canoe at all times. Okay, it's mandatory during tournament fishing. Also, you have to wear your life jacket. It must be worn while on the water at all KBA sanctioned events. There's no exceptions to that. About the life jackets, I actually have one of those auto inflator life jackets, but I do not wear it during tournaments. During tournaments, I'm wearing my regular life jacket. All life jackets have to be Coast Guard approved. Okay. Also, it's a good idea to keep a dry bag on you should you go in the water, and eventually, if you do this long enough, you're going to end up in the water. Everybody who's been doing this for any amount of time, at some point it's going to turtle. You're going to flip that kayak, that canoe, whatever. You're going to end up wet. So carry a dry bag with you. Be able to self-recover. If you haven't practiced self-recovery, you need to go ahead and practice it on a day when the water's not freezing. Right now in Maine is not the time to be practicing self-recovery. You fall into cold water, you literally got 2 minutes to get out of there before your muscles lock up on you and you're done. So don't do it. So with that said, keep that dry bag on board with you when you are kayak fishing. The other thing you want to have is a first aid kit. Keep the first aid kit on you, but that's not mandatory. The two mandatory things are the whistle and the life jacket. Let's see, there's also other stuff you can add to that. You can have a fire starting kit and whatnot, other survival gear as you see fit. Alright, if there is an emergency during a KBA event where someone is in danger or injured, the first thing you need to do is dial 911. Okay, you need to get help on the way. The next thing you need to do is notify that tournament director after calling for help. Let the tournament director know what's going on. Alright, I'm going to talk about rules. Okay, so we have a bunch of rules and bylaws. We posted those rules and bylaws on our Facebook website, on the Facebook page. Take a look at the documents that are in there. You're going to see the rules and bylaws document. Go through that document. Make sure you read it, not just once, but read it a couple times. Go through it. You got questions that you want to ask. Take a look at those rules and bylaws. See if those questions have been answered in there. They probably have. If they haven't, then send me a personal message and I will clarify for you. Okay. Those rules are written in such a way to ensure that all participants are granted a level playing field and no one has an advantage over anyone else. Failure to follow the rules may result in anything from a catch being disqualified all the way up to expulsion from the KBA and criminal prosecution. What that means is if you are, say, cheating, all these events are for money. So if you cheat, you're basically doing fraud. Okay, so when we look at fraud, we're looking at Title 17 of Maine's Criminal Code, Chapter 37, Title 17 Alpha. that means you are basically committing a crime. So don't cheat. Alright, besides, we're not here to cheat anyways. We're here to have a good time, meet fellow like-minded anglers, and camaraderie and all that good stuff. So, let's see here. Measuring your catch. This is really important. Okay, the equipment for that is right here. This is your hog trough. You'll notice this hog trough right here. There's been a couple modifications made to this hog trough. The first thing that was done is these lines right here have been darkened out so we can read it, okay? When we're judging a fish, if you don't have your lines darkened the way these lines are, it makes it very difficult to read the length of that fish. And we will always be conservative when judging a fish. So use those lines, darken them. I'm going to take a look at your fish, or whoever that tournament director is going to look at that fish. They're going to use these lines and this hog trough to tell how long that catch is, and that's really important because inches are what's going to win it for you. When we are kayak bass fishing, we're not doing it to weight. We're doing it to the length of the fish. So this hog trough right here, there's a couple ways to be modified. The first way, as you can see, is the lines have been colored in. Okay, here's another hog trough. Same thing, just different color. This one's yellow. The lines have been colored in, as you can see. Both these hog troughs also have been modified. What you see in the back here is great stuff, expanding foam. This expanding foam causes these things to float. Alright, which is what you want because this thing might get kicked out of your kayak at some point. You might look behind you or around you and see that your hog trough is floating. Okay, you might lose your hog trough. If you don't put the expanding foam in there or some other kind of flotation, some people will put other stuff in here to make it float. I like this expanding foam. It really does a good job. Makes it float. But these things will sink without that. The other thing you want to do, this one right here has a lanyard on it. So you got your hog trough lanyard, and actually this also has a fish clip. So I use this fish clip. Some of the national events you can't use your fish clip because they don't permit it. But the lanyard is a good idea too. If this thing gets kicked off my kayak, and it's happened before, all of a sudden I look back, I'm dragging my hog trough. But I didn't lose it. So I've got my hog trough. It's lanyarded in. It floats. It's got the lines darkened. And you're good to go. You need to have that hog trough if you're going to participate in kayak bass fishing. It is the gold standard, and we don't use anything else for measuring the fish. Let's see here. The other thing you need is your identifier. You'll be issued your identifier once we get on the water, or actually before you get on the water at the captain's meeting is when you get your identifier. Generally what you do is you take a Sharpie and you just write your identifier on your hand, whichever hand is going to be in the photo. Usually in my case, I'm right-handed, my left hand is in the photo, I hold my camera up above the fish, my hand is on it, the identifier is clearly visible. In addition to that, you can see I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Well, when I'm catching a fish, I pull that shirt down. The reason is because I'm also wearing a bracelet. The bracelet is part of the identifier. When you take your picture, you want to make sure that your bracelet, your identifier, and your hand on that fish is clearly visible. Okay, if your identifier is not visible or your bracelet is not visible in that picture, that fish may be will be disqualified. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so you're going to take a picture of your fish. You've got your hog trough sitting in front of you. Your fish is going to be sitting on your hog trough. The belly of the fish is going to be facing your belly. Your fish's head will be to the left, tail to the right. Okay? Make sure you do that when you do that. All this stuff is in the rules and bylaws, by the way. So if I go over something too fast, you're not sure what I said, it's okay because when you take a look at the rules and bylaws, it's all in there. Okay, that fish on the bump board, the fish must be all the way up to the bump board. This is your bump board on your hog trough. The fish's head is going to be right up against there. The mouth should be closed. Okay, so when we talk about the bump board, we talk about this part of the hog trough. In your photos of your fish, the eye must be clearly visible. You have to be able to see that eye. If you can't see the fish's eye, that fish is not gradable. Alright, only one photo of each fish must be submitted. If you submit more than one photo of the same fish, that fish will be disqualified. Very important. Fish clip may be used. I talked about the fish clip earlier. I have it actually on my hog trough. And when I talk about a fish clip, this is what I'm talking about. That's your fish clip right there. You don't have to have a fish clip. I prefer to have a fish clip. The first kayak bass fishing tournament I did, I actually lost 2 bass. I was a newbie, didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a fish clip, caught my fish. I had my fish all proud on my hog trough, and that fish flopped right off and went overboard. And it happened to me twice. So, if you're allowed to clip in your fish, clip your fish in. Some of the national events, you can't clip your fish in. But for KBA events, you can totally clip your fish. One thing about that, you want to clip your fish in such a way you can close that fish's mouth. Also, okay, so the other thing I'm going to talk about, you got your hog trough here, and you got your fish laying in your hog trough just like it's supposed to be, mouth closed up against the bump board. There it is. Now you can take your camera. When you take the picture, you don't want to take the picture from back here or forward. You want to take the picture directly overhead. I use my phone, my iPhone. I'm going to hold my iPhone right up above it, above that fish, so that when that picture is taken, I can clearly see my identifier, I can clearly see the fish's eye, and everything else right there centered directly from overhead. Now the difficult part about this sometimes is, depending on where the sun is in the sky, it may cast a shadow. If that is the case, what I like to do is I like to move my kayak. I'll spin my kayak around 180 degrees or however many I need to, so that I don't cast a shadow over where the fish is being measured, because sometimes the shadow will mess up that photo, and you want to make sure you get a good photo. So camera position is important. Right over top of that fish should be the camera. Okay, and then look at the shadow of the sun. If the sun's really bright that day, shadows can really mess you up. So think about that. Alrighty, moving right along. So we've done all the fishing we can. The tournament is almost wrapping up. It's almost time for weigh-in. You got to have your catch card filled out, and you have to submit that catch card on time. What a catch card is it's a card that lists all the fish you caught, number 1, 2, 3, however many fish you caught, and how long they are. You're going to add up your inches on that catch card. You're going to submit that catch card when you come in from fishing. That catch card generally has to be there by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever time the tournament ends. That catch card needs to be in. If the catch card is late by just a few minutes, each minute is more points docked, more inches docked off your total catch. And until I'm not sure what the rules exactly are, but I think after 5 minutes or so, you're just completely disqualified. So that catch card has to be in at the end of your fishing by a certain time. Usually, I think in our case, it's going to be 2 o'clock. Your catch card has to be in, filled out. So you want to make sure you get back in plenty of time to submit your catch card. The other thing your catch card is important for is tracking your points for Angler of the Year. Okay, if you don't submit your catch card because, say, you had a bad day, you didn't catch any fish, that catch card, you still get points for showing up that day. But if you don't submit that catch card, there's no way for me to add up those points because I don't know you were there. So make sure you always submit your catch card, even if you didn't catch any fish, because you're still going to get points for showing up unless you fail to submit that catch card. Alright, let's take a look here. Alrighty, catch card submitted in accordance with KBA rules and bylaws. Go through those rules and bylaws. Everything I'm telling you right now is in the rules and bylaws. Oh yes, one more thing about the catch cards. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have drawings after the winners of the tournament have received their prizes and had their pictures taken with the sponsor provided prizes and all that good stuff. Then that's when we do the drawings. So whoever's left, you might not have won that day. You might even have gotten skunked. You might not have caught a single fish, but you're still eligible to win prizes from our sponsors. Okay, that's one of the cool things about the sport. Even when you don't catch a single fish, you don't go home empty-handed. As long as you stick around for weigh-in, you're going to win prizes more than likely. You're going to get something. You're going to get your name's going to be pulled on a drawing, and you're going to go home with something. So everybody kind of goes home with something. And if you got skunked, then all the anglers that got skunked are eligible for the skunked award as well, but that's another thing I'll talk about at our first actual fishing tournament. But hopefully nobody gets skunked, but it could happen. It happens. I've been skunked before. All right, personal conduct. When you're participating in a KBA sanctioned event, it is important to be courteous and professional to others. Whether or not they're part of the event doesn't matter. You are basically representing the KBA as an angler in a KBA event, okay? So you're representing this organization, so you need to make sure you maintain your composure. If you have a problem with another angler or a person on the water or just somebody walking around the beach or whatever, keep it professional. Don't take matters into your own hands. Report the problem to the tournament director for resolution, okay? That's the tournament director can handle that. Don't get upset. It's nothing personal. People can be jerks sometimes. That's the way it is. But remember, when you're participating in a KBA event, you're representing the KBA, so you got to remain professional and courteous. All right. Persons who engage in misconduct during a KBA event may be expelled from the KBA or worse. Okay, weigh-in. Once catch cards have been submitted and photos reviewed, weigh-in will commence. Winning anglers will be identified and recognized for their achievements. This includes biggest bass caught, third place, second place, and first place, depending on the amount of competitors that show up. Again, that's in the rules and bylaws, so take a look at that. If we have a lot of competitors that show up, then it could be awards up to 5th place. If not so many show up, it could be just first and second, or even just first. All right, after the podium anglers have received sponsor prize packs and they've received the pot of money or whatever it is, the rest of the field will participate in a drawing using their catch cards to receive additional prizes from sponsors that support the Kayak Bass Anglers of Central Maine. Okay, I've talked about a little bit of stuff, a lot of stuff maybe this evening, but I didn't cover everything, okay? If you have questions that can't be answered by reading the rules and bylaws of the KBA, or if you find some confusion in the rules and bylaws, feel free to send me a PM and I will address your questions. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope to meet each and every one of you at one or more of our events this season. And that's it.